Hey everyone, it's Sandal from Substance Over Style, and today I'm joined by my friend Heidi,
Hey!
fellow Bangkok model. What are you eating, Heidi? Show everyone what you're eating.
Mango salad with broccoli, cucumber, tomato, and what else did I have in here? Baby corn.
Sprouted lentils.
Yeah.
So Heidi's liking the fully raw at the moment. I'm trying my best as well. Yeah, we wanted to do a video, 5 things that we hate about modelling. And before anybody says that we're getting all in like a negative vibration, we are going to do another follow-up, 5 things we love about modelling, because obviously we love our jobs, we love our lives, that's why we do it. So, travel.
So,
Do you love travel?
well, there's the ups and downs, so let's stay with why we hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love traveling the world, but I just find that being a gypsy, a nomad, and just only spending like a few months in one place, it gets really difficult. It's really unsettling sometimes.
Especially like with the diet, you can't like go buy a blender or a food processor to make like the foods that you really want.
Yeah. Like, I would love to have my blend tech that I have in London right here, but I would have to get rid of like half my clothes. And you know, when you're doing a lot of things like going to castings, going to jobs, and then also trying to travel and see them as much of the country as you can, you kind of need clothes, like when you're a model, you do, and makeup and all that crap that you wouldn't need if you were backpacking. But we kind of have to fit our whole life into like a 30-kilogram suitcase, and sometimes you don't get the luxury of traveling and working in another country for 3 months and then going back home and restocking your suitcase. Sometimes you're literally traveling from market to market to market for like more than a year, and so you always have to keep scaling back. Like, I think Brazilian girls sometimes travel for like 2 years before they go home. I don't know how they do it. It's also really hard to have a relationship when you're always traveling, like almost impossible. I think the only models I know who've successfully managed to hold a relationship are with other models.
Yeah, that they can travel with.
Yeah, or just digital nomads, or they just stay in one.
Yeah, like long distance relationships, or for example, otherwise they decide to settle down together in one city.
Yeah, the models who end up in relationships and their boyfriends can't come with them if they don't want to have a long distance relationship, or their girlfriend, then they end up staying in that market for a long time, and sometimes that holds back their career. So, you know, and I've seen a lot of models kind of do that. They could probably work better if they went to another market, but because they're in a really serious relationship, they decide to stay. Like, I've always made the choice to go, and that's why a lot of my relationships have ended. That's just a personal decision that I've made for myself. But
and
yeah,
it's just also like just painful for your like heart, like your feelings to go through being in like falling for someone. Maybe like you have 3 months, and then the person leaves and you leave, and it's just hard to have a relationship like that.
Yeah, it sucks. You have to also try and not get too attached.
Exactly.
If you know that you're leaving, or you have to get serious very, very quickly so that you can make a decision about whether to stay or not.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, my last serious relationship, I met the guy like 3 weeks before I left Bangkok, and then I moved to India and tried to have a long distance relationship. It didn't end up working out. So the travel, yeah, I love it, but at the same time, it does get tough being a nomad. Like, subhuman.
Exactly.
What do you have to say about that?
I mean, they forget to give us food sometimes. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I modelled for 8 years in London, and I've noticed that, in Asia, you do actually get treated with a lot more respect than you do in London. It might just be because models tend to be older mainly in India. India's the number one for treating models well. I think probably because they have the whole Bollywood scene, so they kind of really respect their artists. But in London, sometimes I would be out on the street, and they would expect me to get changed on the street, which never happens in Asia. They always have a changing tent.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And in India, they would never expect you to get changed in the studio in front of the team. But in London, always they expect you to just strip down to your thong, You're just standing there completely like arse naked, and the stylist will just go, no, not that one.
Oh my god, yeah.
What should we put on her? Steve, what should we put on her? And you're just standing there bumfuck naked and everybody's looking at you.
Yeah.
So you kind of,
uncomfortable.
yeah, you kind of almost have to like transcend and go to another place and pretend that it's not happening to you. Sometimes, you know, like when I used to do showroom modelling, you'd be standing there and everybody would be sitting there like talking about you and passing around snacks and not offer you any, or not ask you if you want a drink.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I feel like, especially with like the food, or like even like in China, I heard like models go there, they're working like for 12, 16 hours, and they hardly even get any break to eat or to like go to the toilet. Like they just have change after change after change of clothes. Like basically they're dull.
Yeah, I have heard China's pretty bad. Yeah, a lot of the time they don't respect your creative input either. They don't. A lot of, mainly in Europe, they don't understand that you're a professional and you've worked with a lot of people, and you know sometimes they're having problems with, you know, a garment or a lighting setup or the wind or something like that, and you know something from working with somebody else that could actually help the situation. But if you tell them, it's almost like, why is this young girl telling us what to do?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's just it's crap sometimes. You know, you do get treated like.
And one other thing is like with some agencies, they also they don't care about your body type. So basically, they have this general idea that everybody has to fit in between this size and this size with your hips, your waist, your bust. And if you're not, even if you have bigger bones, like for example, if I have bigger bones, someone else has smaller bones, I can't get my hips down to like, what, 88, 87.
Yeah.
Like, you can't expect me to go down to that when my bones are bigger than the girl.
I think
they can.
Yeah, like, I think sometimes they do take it into account though.
But
like,
sometimes they don't.
Yeah, sometimes they're really stupid with it. Like they're like, oh, you should be 89, when actually you're skinnier than the other girl who's 89. You just have a really 89 centimeters around the hips. You just have a wider pelvis, and I mean that's the case for me. But my booker did actually realise that. I remember when I went into the agency to do measurements when I first got here, and Top measured me, and he goes, "Oh, Sandal 97, very very bad. You know, like lose some." And he goes, "You should really like be careful because you're already a hips girl. So you know, like so he.
I'm a hips girl too.
Yeah, but so he does understand.
But the thing is, like at the same time, they don't understand because. They still like, they still want you to lose the weight.
Yeah.
If you can. It's really unhealthy.
Yeah, it was fucked up what they said to you about the fruit.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, you can eat like salad, but you can't eat fruit. You can have like maybe one piece of fruit a day. Like,
do you understand what I'm dealing with now? Like when I did that last video, and you know, talking about whether this lifestyle is for me. Like I know a lot of you are saying, oh, you need to think about your health, and you're going to damage your metabolism further, and 1,600 calories. Like when, I mean, the agency doesn't usually say things that extreme to me because I'm older, and I'll tell them to fuck off. Did you tell them to fuck off? Yeah.
Like, I just listen to my own mind because I know exactly what's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been reading about veganism and vegetarianism for like over 3 years now, so whatever they say is like goes in the other ear, goes in one ear, goes out the other, because I know what's real.
Yeah.
So I don't really need to like tell them to fuck up or like argue with them about anything. Like they can believe that, and I'll do it my own way anyways, you know.
Yeah, they just want you to lose the weight for like the term of your contract, because they know you're only going to be here for 3 months, and then you're going to go, and then they're going to get new young faces. They're not concerned about your long-term health or your career longevity. So there's that, being treated subhuman.
TVC casting,
TV
the
commercial.
worst. TV commercials.
Yeah.
You can just sit there, come at like what?
Sometimes 6 hours.
6
hours sometimes.
6
for one casting.
hours. Like just sit there and like you just have to wait on and on because they take so long. They do your makeup, they do your hair. and you have to do all these takes, and like if you don't get it by the first take, they probably give you like 10 takes for each clip.
Yeah. I mean, in London, they are much faster, TV commercial castings. Like, even to wait 1 or 2 hours is considered quite extreme. Usually you come at your appointed time and they just make you do a couple of things. So that's not too bad. But castings in general can be, like, brutal. Like, I've heard in Milan, just for, like, a small casting, not for, like, a big campaign or something, there will be, like, more than 100 models coming to this casting. And so you almost feel like, what is the fucking point in me being here? Like, for one, they're looking for one model, and there's hundreds of models here.
Yeah.
You just, I think
they should give like a specific look of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And like, I think a lot of the clients that do that, they don't know what they're looking for.
Yeah, probably they're looking for an energy. They'll know when they see it, but
it's just like a waste of time for all of us to go there.
Yeah, but the thing is, this comes back to number 2, being treated like a subhuman. They don't give a shit about our time. Like, I went to a casting recently here in Bangkok, and we were sitting there for about 2 hours. We didn't even know if the casting was going to be cancelled or not, if the client was going to show up. They just show up on their own convenience. And then after waiting for 2 hours, like, any girls that they didn't really like, they would just, like, look through the portfolio. Thank you, thanks for coming. And it's like, I've been waiting fucking 2 hours for that. You don't even have the decency to look through all my pictures. But at least then you know that they don't want you. But yeah, castings can be pretty brutal, especially for Fashion Week as well. Like, I've heard some horrible stories about, like, girls doing castings for London Fashion Week, and, like, they'll measure you right in front of everybody, and then, like, you know, you'll have to do the walk, and they'll just be like, you know, they'll say right in front of everybody whether they like you or not. They've even, like, one.
They do that here too.
Yeah, like, I've had clients say to me right in front of everybody, "How tall are you?" And then I'll say my official height, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I don't think so," and just completely humiliate you in front of people, which leads me to point number 4.
Oh, don't even get me started. Like, before I started modeling, I was like skinny compared to normal people. So basically, like, I come to Thailand, and first thing I know is like, they're like, whoa, your hips are so big, like, you have to get down to the right measurements in 1 week. So I
was this same agency you were with?
Yes, yeah. So I was so scared that they were gonna, like, get all pissed off at me, and I wouldn't be able to do my career anymore. And then I was so I didn't eat anything for a week. Like, I had like maybe 2 or 3 meals, and then I came in and I was just like shaking. And then they were like, "Oh, good, you lost 3 kilos in a week." And I'm like, "Yeah, I haven't been eating much." Like, and they're like, "Okay, continue doing that. You need to lose 2 more." And I was like, "Oh my god!" I just wanted to break down and cry.
Yeah.
And that's like set so many things up in my mind. Like, I'm scared of eating like too much. I'm scared of like every time like I starve myself, I end up binging, and then I feel so guilty. And at some point, I actually had the problem that I have to go to the toilet afterwards and just throw it all up again, because I was so scared of getting fat. And then it's just fucked up my whole metabolism. Like, I've had such a yo-yo diet now.
Yeah, and it's pretty common in the industry for that to happen, because you'll have to maintain your measurements for, say, our agency will do a measurement day every week, and if the girls don't, and the boys don't maintain their measurements, then they don't get an allowance. Like, I mean, I don't do that because I don't take an allowance.
Me either. I mean, it just drove me crazy. I remember, like, it was on Wednesdays, and every day before the Wednesday, I would, like, not eat anything, and then Tuesday, if I ate anything, I would take laxatives, and then make sure that I would be super skinny for Wednesday, and I wouldn't eat anything until that they would come and measure me, because I was so scared that I
that's what all the girls in the apartment were doing. I never needed to do that though. Somehow my measurements just stayed. I was like just getting stoned every evening and would like have like munchies, eating Snickers, and somehow my measurements always stayed the same. But I think it's because of that, like, I was only, like, getting the munchies in the evening, and then during the day I would just, like, have an iced coffee and some pineapple and not really eat that much, just without thinking about it, just because it was, like, from years of being used to that. But, I mean, also they weren't too strict with my measurements. Like, I didn't have to be too skinny. And I'm
they
not very
wanted
tall.
me to be, like, more skinnier than even than I am now.
Yeah, and you're really tall as well. So this is also the fucked up thing that like they expect all models to be roughly the same measurements. Now I'm 3 inches shorter than Heidi,
Yeah.
but because she's tall enough to do fashion shows, because of my height, I'm considered more commercial. So they don't want me to be too skinny. But somebody like Heidi and a lot of the other taller girls who they push for the shows, they want them to be even skinnier. So they want her to be even skinnier than they're expecting me to be. Like, that's not fair. That's
the
messed up.
same thing about body types again. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, it sucks. It fucks with your mind because honestly, like, I have times where I'm just like even guilty about eating something considered healthy, like fruit sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna put on weight because I ate too many mangoes or I ate too many dates.
Yeah, I think sometimes you manifest it as well because of your fear.
So
but another thing about self-esteem issues is like before I started modelling, I mean I had pretty high self-esteem. You know, I thought I was the shit.
Yeah.
When I started modelling, like I think some people think that models are arrogant and vain because they get told that they're good looking all the time. It's not true.
It's because we get judged constantly every day.
Yeah, for any flaw that you have becomes highlighted and it becomes something that comes up all the time. So I started to become really insecure about my height, which was never an issue before modelling, but I am pretty short for a model. I started getting insecure about the fact that my face is not symmetrical. Just things that I didn't even know existed before I started modelling.
I know, me too. Like, for example, that my nose isn't good enough for commercial. They even asked me to go get my nose done.
Really?
Plastic surgery. She says, I went in the other time and she was like, oh, I'm like, why am I not getting a job? She said, you know, Heidi, we talked about this already. You need to get your nose, like nose surgery if you want to be a commercial model here in Thailand.
Is this what you can see here? Yeah, number 5, before this video gets too long. And this is actually very timely because if you're in the UK and if you're in the fashion industry or just read the news, you'll know that a guy called Lee Cropper has just recently come out of jail. He was a pretty successful photographer. He was shooting for Dazed and Confused a lot. He was shooting for Grazia magazine, and unfortunately he was a fucking good photographer. He was, however, an absolute creep, and he was notorious in the industry for kind of creeping on girls. A lot of girls had shot with him. I shot with him as well. Like, I mean, he didn't do anything illegal to me, but he did stalk me. He was creeping on me, like, you know, saying, I want you to be my muse and come round to my studio, which is his studio come apartment, every week, and then I'll take you for cocktails. And the thing is, when you're a young, struggling model trying to make it in a very competitive market like London, or, you know, a really good photographer saying, I want you to be my muse, that's kind of like, it's kind of appealing. Like, obviously I knew he was a creep and I knew not to go there, and I trusted my intuition and I never shot with him again. But part of me was thinking, I mean, this guy shoots for Dazed and Confused. Like, my pictures could end up in Dazed and Confused. I could become really successful, and like, I won't have to fucking worry about like making ends meet the way I am right now. You would be surprised how often it is the really good photographers. I've heard about some photographers who shoot for, you know, like Vogue India, and, you know, some really high standard photographers that, you know, if you looked at their work, you would be like, wow, amazing. And then they'll just invite models for test shoots, like in a hotel room, and just behave really creepy. Like, I've been in situations with like very famous photographers where I've been in their basement and they've basically been coercing me to get completely naked. And the thing is, they're fucking good photographers, so you get really amazing pictures, but you leave feeling kind of ick. But they haven't broken the law, and you tell your, like I did, my agency actually, this particular photographer, they knew who he was, they knew exactly what he was like, and they warned him not to do that. They didn't warn me about what he was like, so, and I just signed with them, so I was quite keen to like impress them and stuff and do well. So, you know, then I told them about it afterwards, and they were like, oh yeah, he's so naughty, we're not going to send him any more girls. And it's just like, are you kidding? Like, I actually started crying on public transport after that experience, and you couldn't have at least fucking warned me about that. So I'm very tempted to say his name right now. I've said it on Facebook already. He's got a really bad reputation in London, happens a lot. It's not just creepy photographers as well, though. It's creepy clients.
There's creepy people also, like
Yeah.
like coming to model parties or doing anything, like they're just always like trying to get with you or like trying to buy you with things, and like I don't know, it's just
Yeah, it can be very difficult to find people who like you for you.
exactly.
Like, you know, I thought I had some really good friends in India, and then when I went back after a year, I realised that they were friends with all the new models, and I was like, oh, you guys just wanted to hang out with me because I'm a model. It's not because, you know, you liked me as a person. And I'm not even talking about like in a sexual way, just like even as friends. Like people just want you around because they know that you'll bring your friends and they can creep on your friends, and yeah, it can be pretty seedy, and clients as well. You know, they'll just be like, when you're on a TV commercial or an NHO, they're like, all right, darling, how's it going?
Yeah.
Do you need to sit down? All right, and they're the client, so you can't just be like, get off me, dude, because you want to work. And your reputation is important, and if you're known for being like a diva or an arsehole, then you're not going to get work. So
Yeah,
sometimes you just have to put up with it.
Mm.
So those are the 5 things that we hate about modelling. We will do another video telling you 5 things that we love about modelling, because otherwise we wouldn't do this. We could do anything that we wanted to.
Yes.
We do this because we love it. So don't forget that. And thanks for watching.
Thank you.
If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.